I'm your host, Careshmeh Dean, and today my guest is a child advocate. She's an educator. She's a storyteller. She is everything, but most importantly, she is a mother. She speaks boldly about culture. Please welcome Cari Bartholomew.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you here. I consider you one of the intellectuals of our time. I consider you as someone who you are self-taught, you're also educated. It's like you have this unending thirst for knowledge and truth. That is my number one appreciation of you, is the truth that you speak, the boldness with which you speak it, and you just won't back down. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So I was actually made aware of you during COVID 2020 when the riots were going on. There was so much that, it has definitely dialed back. I don't know if it's dialed back. Has it dialed back? No. I don't think it's dialed back, but at least it's not, because there was a fire that cut through our country.
Right.
Everything was ablaze. People were putting up, the big cement blocks in Portland. It was bizarre.
Right.
Bizarro.
Right.
Okay. And that's when I learned about you and your attitude, your perspective, and it was just relieving. So tell me a little bit about that. Where were you? How you had to do some hard things. Your family had to make some very hard choices.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first off, thank you for that amazing opening, because that almost made me cry, but I'm not going to. So
truth, all true. Every single bit of it was true.
So I moved here to Utah from Washington State, and in Washington, my head was so far in the sand. I was a drama teacher. That's what I did, and a volunteer drama teacher, right? So I would just come into the schools and try to sprinkle magic everywhere.
Right.
And then COVID happened, and it literally happened about 3 weeks after the start of it, after our winter play, which was Willy Wonka.
Oh,
so
I love Willy Wonka.
It was a huge hit. It brought all of these people together. The principal was like, Cari Bartholomew does it again, brings everybody together. The teachers literally were bringing flasks to watch to watch the final dress rehearsal, because it's always hilarious when you're working with kindergartners on up.
Oh, yeah.
So they would come in. And then the shutdown happened, and my husband was like, wait a second, some of us are not essential?
Oh,
and
that was fascinating. Liquor store people were essential.
Yes, yes.
So other people, not some teachers.
Right.
I'll just teach at home. Because parents,
and that became a thing.
We're just a glorified baby. I am a teacher. Glorified babysitter over here, right?
Right. And that became a thing. And also the pitting against each other. But I went from being everyone's darling to being automatically, you need to think this way. And if you don't think this way, either you don't think this way because you haven't been fully educated, you don't know your lived experience like we do.
Right.
And that was just shocking to me, because these were people that I've known for longer than I've known my husband.
Oh, yeah.
And people are saying, we just don't think you really understand your plight. And I'm sitting there going,
You're not
do you know
smart
me?
enough to know how to take care of yourself.
Right.
There is a voice that says that to
Right.
a lot of people.
Right. Very much.
A lot of people.
Infantilizing our culture is what we're dealing with. And I wasn't about to deal with that.
No.
You know my backstory. You know that I grew up and aged out of the foster system.
Tell me what that means, and the rest of the viewers.
Sure. So when I was 5 years old, I put myself into foster care. A lot of people think that means that, well, at that age you're adorable, and I was, but they'll...
Of course you were. You're adorable now.
So I'm a minority, and I lived in 18 foster homes in 9 years. And then the aging out process is that when you turn 18 or when you graduate, whichever one comes later, they give you a garbage bag.
Yeah.
And sometimes You know, sometimes you just get that garbage bag and you're on your own. I was lucky. I was already accepted into a performing arts school, and so I had a plan. But if you don't have a plan,
You're on the streets.
thankfully, though, I do have to say that that has changed. These are the kind of programs that are beneficial, and the best ones are the ones that say, we will help you, but you have to pay us back 10%.
And I'm going to say this, I think
fine.
it's accurate. I don't know that people develop a skill set being in foster
No.
care. I believe that, and I did have, the Other Side Village was here on the show, and he mentioned that convicts will be given now a voucher for an apartment and a voucher for a job. They don't know how to take care of an apartment, and they don't know how to work. So you've effectively given them something that doesn't mean anything. And so they usually end up going back to what they're comfortable doing because they get so freaked out, and rightfully so. No one has shown them. And the Other Side Village gives them, the skill set. There's a 2-year program. Anyway, but that's what I'm saying is that, the foster care system is just to basically keep you alive until you're...
Sometimes. I mean, so there's entitlement, and I don't support those either. I don't support just handing everything and saying your life has been hard, let me give you stuff.
Right.
And for me, it comes down to my viewpoint, which is you can always find the good in something. So
Yes.
I lived in homes that treated me like their slave, and I learned how to do things.
Right. Why are you dumbing it down to where, oh, no, no, no? I
Yes.
mean, learned helplessness.
Yes.
Learned helplessness is an actual thing in the psychological world, and we generally do it to our disabled folks, which, by the way, they're not disabled. They actually can do everything. They're super smart, and they learn that you're doing that, and they manipulate. Anyway, I digress. Move on.
No,
I mean,
no, you're
it
right,
is-
and you can completely tie that in because a
Yeah.
lot of people have decided that our children, because they went through COVID, because of that, they're now somehow disabled, so they need to all be treated the
amen.
same way, and
Amen,
that blows your
sister.
mind.
Let me just say this. I actually said this out loud. I said, okay. It's interesting because the kids in World War II
Right.
were jerked out of their homes, sent across the countryside to live with strangers, perfect strangers. They didn't know these people. And somehow they were expected to just keep it together.
Yes.
There were no special treatment or anything like that. It was
Right.
like, get it together, and if you don't get it together, and when you go back, we're not giving you any leeway either.
Right.
Said, how is it possible that we're still calling them COVID kids?
Yes.
Why are we doing that? I don't understand that. It is a phenomena of which I am perplexed.
I think it's because they want to emotionally manipulate and then control.
Oh, yes.
So,
Absolutely.
and also, I mean, quite frankly, there's a ton of funding for the more vulnerable our children are.
Yes.
When they say resilience, they mean 100% the opposite of resilience, because resilience is
Yes.
saying, hey, you've been through something hard, now you've got to step on up
Exactly.
and move on past.
Yeah.
And people don't like that.
No wallowing. There's
Right.
no wallowing.
Right.
Because that just puts you deeper in mud.
Yes.
Why would you want to stay in mud? Don't you want to get out and have a nice hot shower?
Yes. And the thing is that, I mean, we were talking about this beforehand. There is a time to wallow. You know,
There is.
For me, when something bad happens, like when we fostered and a child would leave our home.
Oh,
Okay,
heartbreaking.
sometimes, honestly, I'll just be honest,
Love it.
sometimes not so much.
Right.
But when those ones would leave that you had gotten so close to and then
Yes.
they were gone, I would tell myself, I get 24 hours. Nobody should talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to zone out on, Netflix before it went off the rails.
Yeah.
And I'm going to eat crap.
Amen. I'm on your page there too.
And that's what I would do. But after 24 hours, I would tell myself, okay, that was the most out of it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to sit in the car and sob sometimes.
I'm going to have my moments, but I am going to continue
Exactly.
to move forward.
Exactly.
I feel you. I mean, that was my life the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I lost my husband, and I was just like, but
Yes.
you move forward. You continue. You don't wallow.
Right.
And you don't have the expectation that someone needs to, recompense.
No, I've
There's-
never.
you know what I mean?
That's blown my mind. And the reason, so I'm the perfect example of who could wallow.
Yes, you
So-
are 100%.
18 foster homes in 9 years, every kind of abuse that you can imagine. And even now, like there's so much that's going on now that is worse than it ever was in all of that time.
Oh, that's crazy.
Just the social
persecution.
place that we're at. Well, for sure that.
Persecution, because like you were saying, if you step out of line, for some reason we want diversity, but we don't want diversity.
Right.
We want there to be clans, but not clans. Everybody,
Right.
it's such a confusing, there's too many voices that are divisive and
Yes.
completely contradictory that there's no way for our brains to, and that happened during COVID.
Right.
You know, I understand the shutdown that people had because we used to go to our doctor. They were the foremost authority, right?
Right.
We would go to them, we would talk to them, and then they, whatever they had to say, which they would consult their medical journals, they would consult their peers, their peer journals that were all reputable. And reputable and science-based,
Now we're
right?
talking, yes.
Science-based, you know, back in
Yes.
a time when that was a real thing.
Yes.
And then they would tell us what to do based off of ethics and a moral compass that said, I really do want to save my
Do
patients.
no harm.
Do no harm.
It was
Do
that
no harm,
simple.
right? And COVID whipped
Yes.
that around in so many different directions that we were all, those of us that needed to process, we were like, I don't know, there's too
Yes.
much, because it was like, you know, and it was, processing was almost impossible. So I understand, I give a lot of
Yes.
grace for people to do, but again, you know, essential. It was, I could not go to church, so my right to worship was not essential.
Right.
But if I were to pick up a sign that had any particular depiction and march around with it, I could stand right next to you. I could
Right.
spit in your face.
Right. Oh,
I could
Lived
lick
it.
your face if I wanted to. That was well within, that
Right.
was essential. But
Right.
the right to worship, it was a wild time.
100%. I mean, I think the first thing for me medically, so you said it was hard to process. I felt like I had to process everything because I needed to be my child's guardian.
Yes.
Immediately.
Yes.
So the first time I open up the school, the online school, and all of a sudden the stories or narratives, and I'm like, I don't agree with these narratives.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't agree with them. I have a huge problem with you teaching my child as a 5th grader that he should be an activist.
Oh,
Done.
right.
And so I felt like it's you just have to continuously learn as much as you can. But then some things
Yes.
became really clear. Like they said, African Americans should be move to the front of getting a experiment. And I was just
You're
like,
like, wait a minute.
so history?
Wait a minute. Yes.
And that is where I just went, oh, okay, so this is much bigger than I thought it was. Because I was the first person to trust the experts.
Sure.
I mean, I've got one child.
But
Okay?
which ones are the experts now? Because we don't
Yes.
know.
Yes.
You know, I will tell you okay, so we did COVID
Yeah.
in the hospital.
Okay.
All of my late husband's treatment was in the hospital.
Oh my gosh,
during COVID.
Oh wow.
It was wild. It was wild to have, because we were blood cancer ward over here. So East 8 is blood cancer. West 8 is where they decided to put the COVID patients, because there is a magical barrier right here where somehow COVID didn't walk itself over. The blood cancer. I'm
Yeah.
like, you couldn't pick the orthopedic level?
Right.
I mean, really? What?
Right.
I mean, there was a lot of things, but
Yeah.
truly, it was one of those things where you just thought to yourself, what? This is bizarro.
Right.
What's happening here? Where are the experts? They did a bone marrow transplant and they said, in 3 months, you need to get your COVID shot.
Oh wow.
So just so anyone needs to know, a bone marrow transplant, you can't get any of the tried and true vaccinations for a full year. So the tried and trues, no bueno for a year. But the
wow.
COVID, 3 months after the bone marrow transplant.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw this out there. We bucked and bucked and bucked until, I don't know, I think it was November. He had his transplant in March. November is when we had October is when he got his COVID shot. In November, he relapsed.
Oh, wow.
And then he got COVID. And it was bizarro. So
Right.
processing which experts?
Right.
Which experts? I'm looking at an entire group of blood cancer doctors who are the experts. I call them the stupidest smart people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Because common sense out the door. I can
Yes.
riot next to you,
Right.
but I can't pray 6 feet away from quietly.
Well, and in Washington, we watched hundreds of people cross the bridge, shoulder to shoulder,
Yes.
and they said that basically if they
Yes.
were emotionally connected, that would prevent. And it was so ridiculous.
Just bizarre.
And then I started digging into the expert class, right?
Yeah.
So I became friends with mental health specialists who were going, do you want to know what we're really learning? And I became friends with teachers who were going, why are we learning this?
Yes.
While we're lowering the standards, this is the focus of school?
Right.
What's going on? And then people in libraries, all of these different groups, and you just sat there going, okay, so what we're dealing with is a cultural revolution. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
And that's what we're dealing with. And
Not for a good turnout.
no, I mean, people think revolution and they think like hippie flowers on their face and, you know,
Yeah.
and whatever. And it's, if you don't know history, which so many of our people don't,
No.
I was going to say young people, but I don't think that that's
People
even
in
accurate. Every
general.
category.
People in general.
Yes. I've gone to the school boards and I've said, you know, this looks a lot like Maoism. And they are, what? And I'm
Right.
but you're the one with a degree.
Right.
So I'm just the mom who's concerned about protecting my child,
Yes.
which turned into protecting.
All the children. Let me just say
Yeah.
this, because I was accused of that at one point
Okay.
back, way back when I still had a preschooler. I mean, she's now 23, but
Yeah.
honestly, I had an admin say to me, because I thought it was improper to have junior high lockers next to the preschool bathroom that the preschoolers would have, and they were letting the junior high students use the same bathroom as the preschoolers.
Okay.
So we know that that's not safe. There's no way to safeguard the preschooler. And I was accused that you're only worried about your child. And I'm like,
Right.
actually, the fact that I'm worried about my child protects all of the children in her
Right.
class.
Right.
Shame on everybody else for not wanting
Right.
to protect their preschooler, not having an issue with the fact that these 14 and 15-year-olds who are at that bazonker age anyway, you know,
Yes.
wild, crazy age anyway.
Yes.
I mean, puberty is not pretty.
Well, and especially when you add social media onto it, there are people who call
Yes.
themselves fishers. And
I am not familiar with that. Tell me
oh,
what that means.
Well, a
Do
fisher.
I want to know what
No,
that means?
you don't. You don't. These are the people who they don't believe in what's called childhood innocence.
Oh,
okay?
yes, I don't want to know this.
And they just
This is
go
brave,
after.
Brave New World people.
Yes, yeah, and they go after kids, and the earlier the better. And that's this is not made up. This is,
No.
you can literally get on their websites and start reading their stuff, and you just go, how did we get here? And how did we get to a place where nobody will stand up because they're so afraid that if they open up their mouths, cancellation
Exactly. We are not, or death.
or death. Let's be real. I was there.
Death.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just based off of your opinion,
Yeah.
based off of your thought.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
actually going to jump to that because
ahead, that's fine.
that one was
Yeah.
our world has become progressively more violent.
I'm
and
sorry,
it's
but you
weird
said
to-
progressive.
You know, I know.
and violent.
They're in the same category, those folks.
I am like,
Those
okay.
folks, progressively. You identify that way? Yep. I'm connecting you. I'm connecting.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
I don't understand it because
Yeah.
we are at a point, a pinnacle. I mean, we know through history that there's the dark ages, there's the golden ages, then they go back down. I mean, it's just a constant. We have every possible technological advance presently, every possible benefit. We are living cleaner, better lives than we ever have in all of history.
Right.
People like to, oh, we didn't, no.
Right.
In all of history, we don't have to put the muckers on to walk through our own
Right.
refuse in,
Right.
in the street. Nobody's
Right.
going to throw their
Right.
urine at you, from the window, then we're
Yeah.
not doing that.
Right.
Okay, we are definitely at a point of technological advance, and yet, I mean, I know prosperity tends to beget. It's almost like we're
Hard men, weak
bored.
times.
We're bored. We need to do something to
Oh, for
spice
sure.
it up, right? I got to spice this up. It's too good. Things are too good, And I mean, I just don't understand the violence to push your agenda.
Okay. Ooh, we're going to go to the spicy area, if that's okay.
Spicy. Bring it on.
Okay.
I like my food spicy. I like the conversation spicy. It's all good.
Okay. So yesterday, I'm always listening to something, and yesterday I was listening to a woman say that wokeness is the feminization of culture. Now, I know. Okay, so think about this. When men fight, they tend to fight outside, right?
Yes.
And afterwards, even if they end up destroying someone, they have some respect for the person they destroyed.
Right.
When women fight, okay, I'm gonna, okay, we were talking, clicks,
my
right?
language,
But, or
I
like,
got you.
I mean, I've been watching this Turkish drama. I can't help it. It's so good. But it's a bunch of harem women fighting for Suleiman. Okay. They are ruthless, and there's no forgiveness whatsoever, right?
Yes.
There's none whatsoever.
Oh.
Okay, so give a whole society that attitude. No redemption whatsoever.
Right.
And then you wonder where you get to a place. Plus, everybody learns who a person is based on a sentence,
Oh, yeah.
right? So you I was there, like I said. And when I went home and I made my little post on it, I made the mistake of getting onto I got onto Threads. And that is apparently as bad as Blue Sky. And people were just saying the most racist and vile things. And how could you, as a black woman, he thought X of you. And so what I did, because I teach critical thinking.
Yeah.
So what I did is I sat down and I started watching all of his videos. I didn't watch them before, not because I don't like him.
I didn't either.
He's not in
'cause
my age group.
Exactly. But I did not check him out. And we're talking Mr. Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Yes. And thank you for saying his name.
Charlie Kirk. We are Charlie Kirk.
Because for a while, they have been saying, say their name, say their name. 2020 was all say their name, shove it down your throat, say their name. And I'm like, I don't relate to this person. Just because I have a similar amount of melanin does not mean that I relate to this person.
Right.
But yet you're trying to shove it down and say, I feel so sorry for you because of that. No.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me.
No.
But when Charlie is assassinated in front of young people, my son was there too.
Exactly.
Okay? When Charlie's assassinated, no one is saying his name. Intentionally, they'll say, well, there's somebody who didn't really like empathy.
Yes.
But they won't say his name, or they'll say your school, our schools are having, nobody's gonna, we understand that our kids have been through a lot of trauma.
Oh, they talked a lot about the audience. They talked a lot about the school.
Yes, but not his name.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so can we take you at your word when you say silence is violence? Because I do.
Yeah.
That's what you've
It's
shoved
called
down my throat
complicity.
and conditioned for 4
complicity.
hours. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you don't do the
100%.
right thing, you are complicit.
100%. And we're there. So we are in two very different worlds. We're in a world where people don't listen. We're in a world where our kids, instead of reading a full book, are told, read an excerpt from this book and they were supposed to do Booker T. Washington and
Right.
W.E.B. Du Bois, okay, with one paragraph and decide who has a better.
How could you do that?
You can't. You can't, but it's highlighted.
Again,
so
but
that,
we talked about
so that-
expectations
exactly.
coming down.
Yes.
I mean, and obviously we do have a world where we are flipping through.
Yes.
Our attention spans are
Yes.
shorter than the goldfish and whatever. They have those connections.
I
and
say that all the
everything, you know.
time. Yes.
But I'm just like,
Yeah.
the kids need to know, and they say it, but do they really practice it? We can do hard things.
Right.
And hard things means it's uncomfortable. There's
Right.
sacrifice involved.
And they're not supposed to be uncomfortable because we're told that if a
Right.
child's uncomfortable, they're
There's
going
trauma.
Yes, and if they're
We're
trauma, we need to be careful.
traumatizing them. I'm like, then
Yes.
trauma away, because
Yes.
you need to learn how to be uncomfortable.
Yes,
You have to learn
that's
how.
how you become mature.
That's how you rise up.
Yes,
You know, when you fall down, it's uncomfortable. You've got
Yes.
bleeding and everything. You have to get back up, clean up, and keep walking.
yes, 100%. And that has been a really hard thing because of the weaponization of language.
Yes. So, speaking of this, you're a storyteller,
Yes.
okay? There is a different narrative out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a hope to be able to, can we change? Is there hope? I'm just like,
I think the biggest and best hope that we have is school choice.
I agree.
So when you can teach to what the child is interested in,
Yes.
or when you can teach, like I took Black History on, and there are
Yeah.
people who are like, oh, she's DEI, she took on Black History. No, my kids learned about Thomas Sowell. So that is how and more people than that. But the way that I taught history was through their stories of resilience and what they did afterwards. How did they impact their community?
Exactly.
And also, sometimes they weren't allowed to impact their community
Right.
because people want us to stay mentally in slavery.
Right.
Right? So it's off with the shackles and on with our minds.
Yes.
Don't say, thank you so much for doing all of this good, kind stuff for me.
Right.
And meanwhile, stay down here.
Right.
Go back to BLM. Black circles, right? Black circles for your profile. But nobody said, hey, can I mentor these kids who are running behind? And to me, this is common sense.
I actually had that conversation with someone who said to me, and it was very fascinating because they said, look at that white privilege. So I'm 66% Iranian, okay? And just because I don't have enough melanin, but my brother and sister do, and my son is
Yeah.
brown. My son is as brown as you are,
Yeah.
okay? I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I said,
Yeah.
actually, can we just have a hot second question about this? I just need to ask this. So how much good is being out in the street screaming and tearing things down, throwing bricks, catching things on fire, hurting other people? Could you direct your efforts into finding the child in your local school, even if you don't have a child there,
Yes.
that doesn't have the ability to be in the programs that they want to? You sponsor them for one, you take them to that program, you show up to their games or their plays or
Yes.
their whatever.
Yes.
You be the human, the adult that they need, that gives them the hope that they can move forward successfully. Or the college, they're college bound. Do you know how long? We do. We
Right.
know how long, well, you don't yet.
Yes,
It
I
takes a
don't, right.
long time to fill out those scholarship packets.
Right, okay.
I'm saying days and days and days,
Yeah.
and days. You could go into the high school and find the kid that doesn't have the parent that can do that.
Right.
You
Right.
just ask, they'll know.
But you couldn't, because you couldn't even we couldn't get like Black father figures to come in and to say they'll mentor, because they would say that's too political. Really?
Wait.
Fatherhood's political.
Well, we could go into that. I'm apparently a birthing person. I am a mother. Thank you. I am a mother.
Yes. Yeah.
3 times a mother. And now I get to have 3 more on top of that. And a grandbaby. I'm a grandmother.
Yeah.
You will not strip that from me.
Right.
You will not take that from me.
But there are people who want to. And that is, so what I would say that we face greatly is a battle between the feminine and the feminist.
Right.
And we can go back and say feminism was great in the first and second waves. Well, go back and look.
Check it. Check it, because the first feminists, especially in the biological realm, were trying to eradicate men.
Yes!
They were trying to eradicate men. I was like,
I know,
wait, time out. What?
I know. And they were all about free love. So it was pretty, it was like, they weren't, not a whole lot different than third wave. But this new wave is more dangerous, because when they say eradicate, I mean, they're literally talking.
Eradicate.
You saw the video of the boy just stabbing the effigy, right? I mean, it is violent.
It is violent. And I have 2 of my 3 children are boys.
Yes.
I just, in an effort to have equality, we need to be allowed equality, not sameness.
Right.
Different.
Yes.
Appreciation comes with that.
Yes.
An appreciation for the differences and the way that we unite to become the whole. It is a beautiful thing. If you don't understand that, you have lost the entire point.
Right.
You are gone. So at what point was the turning point for you? Because you are a child advocate in every way, every sense of the word. What was the turning point that had you going that direction?
Okay. So in Seattle, I was holding a sign that said, "Reject CRT, they are using us."
Yes.
And I got punched in the throat. I got kicked. And the girl who did it looked so much like me that it completely, like,
blew your mind.
It did. And my son, almost said his name, my son was, like I said, a 5th grader, right? And these kids, and I'm not joking, they came in at least sets of 2, if not more, and they marched in lockstep, goose step, and they would click their feet together, and they would say the same thing to you. They would say, "We can see you do not agree, we will not engage." And I looked about like that. And my son and I had just read the book about that movie that just came out, Helmut Hoopner, right? So we just read the book.
Truth and Treason. We were
yes!
there. Fantastic.
Yes!
Good job, Angel. Again. I keep mentioning you because I love you.
It was excellent. I'm going to take him. I went this week, but we were
every
there.
Child, every human needs to see that movie.
Yes. Now I will tell you, because of the work that I do, I almost left 3 times. I was just hard. Like, it's so hard to know that is
truth.
A reality again. Like, did we not? I tell my kids every week, why do we learn history?
So we don't repeat it.
The worst. We don't repeat the worst.
Yes.
And we learn from the best.
Yes.
That's what we do, right?
Yes.
And so watching those kids march, and my son looked at them and he goes, "You guys look like the brown shirts."
Yes.
And the kids didn't know. Okay, so that was my first thing. Then I got here, and I came to a phenomenal school.
Yes.
Which is
American
where we met.
Preparatory Academy. They are fantastic. We love them. Classical education, and they teach all of history, just so you know.
Yes.
Beginning to end, or beginning to present.
Yes, yes. And I'll hit that in a moment. But so I came here, and one day like I told you, on stressful days, I would just go and buy a piece of cake, eat it in my car, right?
Love it.
And I'm talking to this clerk, and she's just a high school girl. And she goes, "You look like a teacher." And I said, "That's so funny." And then we just started chatting.
Yeah.
And we chatted so effortlessly. And I'm talking like within 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And I just look at her and I said, "I just want you to know something." And I said, "Can I tell you something honestly?" I said, "I want you to remember this, because I know that there are people who will tell you that people like me resent people like you. And I don't. This is the kind of relationship I try to have with everybody,
Everyone.
right?" And I started to walk, I grabbed my bag, she grabs my hand and she goes, "Can I tell you something?" And she goes, "As kids know something is wrong, when are the adults going to stand up for us?"
Oh, wow.
And that was the moment.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is in my little town. And this girl says, "When are the adults going to stand up for us?" I've heard my son and his friends say a similar thing. We all know the truth. When are people going to start saying it? When are the grown-ups going to start saying it? We have to model for these guys. And so between that and the idea that these people supposedly want success stories of victims, but then when I come into a school and say, "Let me tell my story," and they say, "No, not yours. Not yours. You're not welcome to tell your story."
Because you don't fit.
Because I don't tap
narrative.
dance. Because I don't tap
You
dance
don't
for the
tap
man.
dance, that's right.
And so I have done some crazy jobs. I've worked at the cherry plant on purpose to be like a youth mentor.
Yeah.
So I would have like the kids, I'd have them at lunch, and I would use my money to buy them ice cream or to buy them donuts. And I'd be like, all right, let's have a Socratic discussion.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
love
like giving them ice cream based on whether or not they joined.
They killed him too.
Yes, 100%. And so I know I keep saying 100%, but anyways, that's my thing right now. So we cannot give our children, and I only have one.
Yeah.
We cannot give them a world where they have to live on their knees.
No. I love that, and I actually caught myself. I almost said this, and then I caught the word and I went, no. Which is sad that activism is a negative connotation, that it's now a negative word. Mm-hmm. But I realized we don't want to teach activism, we want to teach advocacy.
Yes.
Advocacy, and the difference between those is activism is pushing your own agenda.
Sure.
Or whatever's been fed into your brain,
Right.
agenda, right? But advocacy is allowing me to help you
Okay.
be you. Advocacy is allowing me to help to stand up for truth,
Yes.
freedom,
Yes.
and the ability to live in a safe human space. That's what I was an advocate for my late husband. I had to be there, but I couldn't force my opinion on him.
Yes.
And I couldn't make him assimilate. I had to allow the situation to evolve, but keep it safe. Keep his safety and his ability to be
so
him.
that becomes an issue because, once again, the weaponization of language.
Of course.
So what becomes safety? If I can't speak
Oh,
truth because you don't feel safe if I speak truth,
Exactly.
that becomes a problem. What I say about advocacy is that activists burn things to the ground. They have a
Yes.
very nihilistic viewpoint. Okay?
Exactly.
Advocates want to build something up.
Exactly.
So, and oftentimes they want to build something up that's already there. So, because you have to understand, our children are 100%. This is coming through curriculums and other things. They are absolutely being
Yes.
taught to dismantle the system of oppression.
Yes. At any cost.
At any cost and in any way. That's why they have their points of intersectionality. Oh, you're oppressed because of this, and this, and this. And then another thing that sometimes advocacy falls into is, I'm going to help specifically this group or specifically this group, right? And so I've been accused of that. People have said, oh, well, you talk to the Black community. And I'm like, yes. And I also have 87 students who none of them look like me.
Right.
And I also talk to old people and young, like, when I say all, I mean all.
All.
When the progressive says all, they honestly mean the LGBTQIA plus
That's
community.
what they're talking about. They're not
That's it.
speaking. Yes, they're not speaking about all.
And when I say all, I even mean them. Like, to me,
100%.
kids should thrive. Period.
Yes.
The end.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
Kids don't need to carry that suitcase, though,
Right.
yet.
No.
We should not be imposing anything upon a child in sexuality.
Yes.
Or there's a reason why, and we know, the history behind psychological, how we advance, how we grow, the maturation process is chronicled,
Yes.
and it's indisputable.
Right.
We know. It's all the history of humanity has shown us. So why are we trying to create a whole different storyline? Why
Well,
do they need that? I don't understand that. In fact, I was. You're probably familiar with this story, but Corey Tenbaum.
Yeah, of course.
So she was on the train
Yes.
with her dad, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And so she had overheard someone talking about sex. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, she sat down next to her father and said, what is that? What is sex? And he looked at her in all wisdom and said, can you put my suitcase up? Will you lift it up and put it above us? And she just, she couldn't lift it.
Right.
Right? And he
Right.
said, some things are too heavy for a child to carry, so don't worry. I will carry it for you. I'm paraphrasing.
You're
I will
100% right.
I will
Yes.
carry it for you until you are ready to know about it. And right now, you don't need to know.
Right. Right.
They don't need to know. There's been this overabundance of information given to children, and in the name of protecting them. Protecting them.
It is, and I cannot stress this enough, it is utterly false. It is
It is a lie.
there is a
Blatant
very
lie.
strong
Yes.
agenda.
Oh, yes.
The agenda is to get our kids, the word is queered, and that does not mean,
I call it over-sexualized.
well, so the word, they call it queered, and that's why I use it, okay? Queered means if you take a stick and you twist the stick into a different shape, that's what we're doing to the minds.
Oh,
it
yes.
doesn't really have so much to do with sex.
Right.
It has so much to do with any kind of reality,
Yes.
because then you can control someone. And
Exactly.
then you can create somebody who goes to UVU and shoots someone.
Exactly. This is a 1984.
Yes.
In perfect example is you have a whole different, I mean, and those of you who haven't read 1984, go read it. Read it.
Yeah.
To revise the narrative every week.
Yes.
You know, the man who's
Creating
doing
chaos
the print
always.
he's writing the print, and he's like, wait, that's not true. We were rationing last week. How could we be in a surplus when it's less than last week? How is this? You know, your brain is constantly going, wait, pause. No, that's,
Yes.
you know, the reality in front of me
Right.
is my reality, and you
Right.
can't change it just because you're saying, call me this, do this, say this. No, it's still 2 + 2 is 4. 2 fingers, it's still 4. 4.
I'm laughing because I just taught this to my students today. So we were talking about Sargon of Akkad, and is a dictator bad if they control you? But then they have these other things about them that are like Sargon of Akkad was a vicious military dictator, and his people never wanted. There was never beggars in his
So
whole,
he was a
right?
genius.
He was nuanced.
He was a genius dictator. A couple of those.
So yeah, so it's nuanced. And then one of my students raised their hands and said, "But what couldn't it possibly be?" And I said, "Well, what's true?" And then one of my students, and I'm talking 7th grade boy, raises his hand and goes, "In all honesty, you know, I would want to say the truth, and I'd want to keep telling myself the truth, but I'd also want to stay alive, so I probably wouldn't tell the truth." And he's a 7th grader. This is what happens when you are allowed to teach kids by school choice. They are allowed to go there. And I'll say that. Keep expanding. Keep thinking, buddy.
Well, they
And
go from grammar
Yes.
to logic
Yes.
to rhetoric. He actually was right in rhetoric.
Right.
He was
Exactly.
boom right there.
Exactly.
Wait, okay, I understand the process. I get the reason behind it, but look what might happen if I do that for myself.
Right. Yes.
The assimilation is individual
Right.
and based off of everyone's perspective, which is individual.
But
And
that doesn't say that truth is individual, right? So truth,
No.
as far as I look at it, when people say your truth, I was with some people who
Yes.
kept saying your truth this week, and my knee starts to shake, and I'm just like, okay. But yeah, right. You're like,
This feels like it's going down that 2 sides of your mouth type situation. Yeah. it's-
yeah, and these are the people who ultimately are controlling what our kids learn. At the highest level in Utah, this is like the dignity index. These are people who are
Right.
coming in and saying, you have to think this way.
Right.
And they'll say, well, that's not really what we're saying. I'm like, well, I'm reading your paper and I'm
Right, right,
listening
right.
to you.
Exactly.
And that is not beneficial because you're saying this truth matters more than this truth.
Exactly.
No, the truth matters.
The truth.
And there are things that are nuanced, for sure.
Of course.
You know, I had my kids stand up. Was Sargon a bad guy? Stand up. Then I told them, nobody wanted for this. He took care of the widows and the orphans. And I'm like, was he a bad guy? And they're like halfway, and some of them are like up and
Exactly.
down. And I said, exactly. And that's where we need to be about everybody in history.
Right.
If somebody tells you there's just this blanket thing, and this is the only thing that you can believe,
Right.
they're brainwashing you.
Exactly.
I didn't tell them brainwashing because, you know, I got parents to watch out for. But
They're feeding
yes.
you propaganda.
Yes. Yes.
So you are, we could talk about this forever and
know.
ever. You are on the board for You Hope, and you are the director of Moms for America.
Correct. At the
Okay.
state level. So yes.
Right. Okay. Tell me about, first let's start with You Hope. Tell me this.
Well, so a lot of people feel that, I mean, we have a massive elitist progressivism in Utah.
We do.
Okay. And they feel that our children should only learn a certain way. period.
Yes.
And the best way to get rid of that is to, at very least, regulate homeschool, if not to have them gotten rid of. So to regulate a homeschool means that you must have someone who's teaching the exact same things that they're learning in public school. Well, that's the reason why people get out.
Yeah, that's the reason why. So, you said regulate homeschool. I'm like,
Right.
woo! Read 1984.
And you have to understand that homeschool, what people think homeschool is you sitting there with your child the same exact hours of public school, doing the same
Right.
thing, and it's just not.
No, no, no.
There's
no,
all
no.
sorts
It
of ways.
doesn't take as much time.
Yes.
You do not have to. You are not teaching to 33 students, and you are
Well.
literally just one student, one-on-one. Unless, I mean, but homeschool is so
But that's the
diverse.
whole thing. So like a co-op is different.
Co-op, you've got, I mean, 100%. You've got
Yes.
half-timers. I mean, it is.
Right.
It's freedom of education is what it is.
Exactly. And sometimes you get the most passionate people.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, a lot of public school teachers are leaving because they're going, what's all this DEI rebranded into something else?
What was CRT
Right,
rebranded
exactly.
to DEI? It's going to be rebranded
Equity,
to something. Yeah,
yes.
yes.
All of
Equity
the,
and inclusion.
Yeah.
But that means you can't say what you're thinking. So inclusion is only a certain group of people.
yes, 100%. And in fact, I've said it so many times, you'll have to take it out. So, but division, exclusion, and ideology.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
What
It's-
DEI is, yes.
So watching people do that, and the way that they can stand is for these teachers to walk away and say, I'm going to go and teach at a co-op. So when you said not that many people, well, I've got 27 and 33 in my Thursday, Friday classes,
there you
right?
go.
So I have a full-size classroom.
You actually have a surplus classroom.
I do. And then for my high schoolers, I just have 17. But my goodness,
yeah,
do
that's
we dig
considered
into
a
it?
small class. I got you.
So that's, you hope is really, at least my vision for it is to help normalize and celebrate the choice to homeschool. I would never say everybody needs to homeschool.
No,
I am concerned.
It doesn't fit.
Right.
I had 3 kids. I could have homeschooled 2 of them so successfully. Like I thought about it, and they would have been just off the charts. I could have even done the math of it. I know
for
a
you,
lot.
'cause
I
that would
know
not-
a lot of the
No.
homeschooling situations are a little deficit in the math, but I could have hit it all.
Right.
Right, but I sat across the table from and so my 2 boys were both reading. Well, they could identify their letters and numbers by 18 months.
Yeah.
I could say, where's the A? Point it. They were reading by 3 years old, okay? My 4-year-old refused it. You know, and she'd do this whole, I'm tired. I don't feel good. And I'm like, ow.
Okay.
I don't know what to do here, right?
Right.
I knew good and well. In fact, when I got her into preschool, I was like, so she's learning, right? And the teacher's like, yes, she's fine. She's actually doing great, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I recognized that I had to have her with a different human to teach her. That was what I recognized.
Right.
Right? Which should be my freedom.
Right.
As a good parent, I should be able to recognize that and be like, oh, okay,
Right.
this needs to go this direction.
Right. I had a similar situation with my son. He was reading really, really early. Even though I'm a huge advocate for homeschool, he's in public
Yeah.
because that's where the arts programs are, and that's what he's interested
And
in.
he needs to have that opportunity.
Right. And so now I recognize that it's fluff. And so at home, we supplement.
Right.
And I'm just like, hey, I listened to this. Would you like to listen to this with me? Let's discuss it.
Right.
Sometimes I will pay him to listen or to read a book because I'm
Right.
just,
Right.
I
No,
want him
he's
to
a
have the
teenager.
best.
I mean, at some point,
Right.
you know, he really is just a teenager.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But I want him to have the very best because I have the opportunity to give it to him.
Right.
My issue comes from anyone in anything, whether that is religion or anything else.
Right.
You know, at APA, they say religion teaches us how to be good. That's great. Anybody good. But when your good trumps my good
Oh,
for my family,
Right.
then we have an issue. If you're good in education, you can say, well, you know, our public schools do so much good for the community. Great. but you should just leave us alone.
Right.
And there's
Let me
no
make that
desire to
decision.
do that.
It's not even leave us alone. It's let me make my decision. Let me
Right.
take that information and decide whether that works for my family.
Right.
And have the freedom to do it. Okay, so
Right.
tell me about
Moms for America.
Moms for America, because I have seen some very derogatory things, and I'm like, wait,
About us?
yes.
Yes. Okay, so Moms for America and Moms for Liberty are not the same.
I think it's Moms for America, but tell me.
Okay.
Tell me about this.
Okay. So Moms for America has a three-pronged platform.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is to empower parents. And I'm probably the most blunt, straightforward, and cutthroat person that there is on that.
Right.
But I do it so gently.
Smile.
I do.
with a
Like,
smile.
people will call me and they'll say, "Cari, can you believe this?" And I'm like, "Just give me some time." And then I write it out, but I'm very direct. Hey, this is racism. Hey,
Right.
this is sexism. Hey, they are actually turning our children into activists.
Right.
It's all happening, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the books, we don't go to the school board meetings and read the crazy books.
Right.
People can do that, and there's a place for it, but that's not our place. Our place is to build relationships with the senators who will listen to us, and that's not all of them.
And that's hard.
Very hard, but there are good ones, and they're so scared. I'll just be honest. They're scared because they dox them. They put their address out. They put their phone number out. They
Right.
take pictures of their kids and put it out there.
There is, I'm saying, the violence has risen to
Yes.
push the opinion and the agenda.
Yes, and so they'll say, I'll support this. I want to support this, but I need an army behind me.
I need some support on my
Right,
end.
exactly. And
So tell me what is our hope? Just
okay.
what do we have to look forward to? Because that
okay.
that really is what everybody wants in the
Right.
end. This last election showed that there is diversity in thought. We are
Right.
not all running this direction.
Right.
There's not a few, I think they call them Trumpansies, which
Wow,
is
that's-
interesting that you would call people that, that you would reduce them to animalism. I
yeah.
think that's heavy propaganda. But
Well, no, so let me just hit that, because when you're driving up into Orem on University Parkway, there's this big billboard, and it's the second time they've put a billboard out, and this one says, "Exposing the MAGA stain." This is a mile after, it's coming this way, so it's all the rural areas, right? And it says exposing the MAGA stain, and it says of Utah's Republican politicians. And it has a picture of a guy in his like wood chopper, like just making him look like he's some podunk hillbilly. That's what's on a sign right now. So this is very real. It's everywhere. Now, the first thing that we have to do is we have to be a moral and informed populace.
yes.
We're not. We're not. You sit next to somebody and you go, "Oh, but I go to church with them, so I know they're a nice person."
That is weird that you say that.
And they
'Cause
get
today,
used.
just today, I said it doesn't. I used to think that who I was sitting next to in my religious
Yes.
worship thought like-minded, and now I know that's not true.
No. In
not
fact,
true.
we have a huge amount of people who are, what I always say is that if people say better, if they say we want to be better, we want to do better, whatever, tends to be elitist.
Yeah.
It tends to be elitist who very much want to fundamentally transform.
Right.
That's I'm using exact words here, right?
Right.
Fundamentally transform Utah.
Right.
So what is
Yeah.
the answer?
What is
Okay,
the
so for
answer?
me,
what can we do?
right. Well, the first
Educate.
absolutely educate, but not just your generation. So here's the thing. Our first one is to empower parents. The second one is to promote liberty. And the third one, which I think is the most important, is to commit to raising the next generation of patriots.
I love it.
So, and we do that by, like you said, I'm a storyteller. So I go across the state and I tell Harriet Tubman's story and I tell Elizabeth Freeman's story. And these are stories, especially Elizabeth Freeman, nobody has heard of.
Yes.
And so I tell her story, and in it, it's one really important thing, because the thing is we've got to restore hope.
Yes.
We've been demoralized, right?
Yes.
So when I'm telling this story about the fact that, yes, she was sold as a slave and she had to live with his family for 25 years, the big thing is that the people who gave her freedom were poor, white, male, rural farmers. And I stop at that moment.
They were the MAGA
because
stain?
that's the truth. Yes, they were.
They were the MAGA stain.
Yeah. And so I tell them and I look at them, and sometimes people will watch and they'll cry and they'll come up and they'll give me a hug and they'll say, "I'm so sorry I did that to you." And I say, "Wait.
You didn't do that to me."
I am not. And I have had to go to the people who do this and say, "I know you don't want us to break character, but my work requires that I break character."
Right.
And so I will say, "My name is Cari. I'm only this old. I was not around during that time.
And you weren't either.
You weren't either, right?" And so we have to restore hope. We have to remember, this is my own thing, and it's what I teach my students as much as I can, is that America, when you talk about America's culture, right? People will say, "Oh, apple pie and baseball." No, redemption, resilience, and grace. That's what we have.
And hope.
And hope. But those things come, hope comes from
Because
those
of
other
this,
things.
yes.
If redemption in any other country where they've had a cultural revolution,
Right.
there's no redemption. We're there now, guys.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
there where you can't say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not guilty." They just say, "Yes, you are," because we said you were, because we
Yes.
watched a sentence and we know now what you
Exactly.
think. So we have to get it back.
Yes. And we get hope through the truth.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Feeding my soul. You've been feeding my soul. We hope that you enjoyed every bit of this. We enjoyed being with you, and we would love for you to share. We would love for you to follow, and we would love for you to subscribe. I am Careshmeh Dean.